Okay, lovely listeners, today we are flipping the script and I have invited Hilary to be a guest on her very own podcast. Just for context, Hilary invited me to be a guest a few months ago, and of course I jumped at the opportunity. And I was laying in bed that week and a little message popped into my mind to do something completely random and invite Hilary to be a guest on her own podcast. I just feel like I've been listening now for a long time and you have all these wonderful guests on and we get to know them in these really beautiful, intimate ways. And I just thought, what about you? Let's get to know you a little bit further. And you know what, to be honest, you do share so openly and so honestly and so vulnerably. So I'm sure we all feel that we do know you. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to turn things around and have a little play and see if we can dig out some extra juice that may not have come up when you're, doing your solos and things like that.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. And I just wanted to start actually by thanking you for the work that you do. It's a big risk leaving law and going into the unknown to really be of service and to hopefully make a difference in the world and make change. And it's such a gamble and we have no magic crystal ball that's going to tell us if it's going to work out or not.
Yeah.
And starting a business, so much blood, sweat and tears and hours go into it. We often create these businesses wanting more freedom and there's no off switch. So I just wanted to take a moment on behalf of all of the listeners out there and all the people that follow you and love you, just to say thank you for taking that risk and for doing the work that you're doing. Your podcast has become like a life coach to me. I've shared with you that I've often listened to the same episode back to back. No break in between, no songs, just one after the other because it's so juicy and inspiring and full of so much wisdom. And I just want to soak it in more and more. So I often listen to the same one. So if you've got lots of extra downloads on particular episodes, yeah, it's often me just going one after the other. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Since our last podcast, I've had quite a few people reach out to me and I've started working with some clients that have been introduced from you. So thank you. Some amazing, beautiful, open-minded, wonderful women. Yeah. And they've just shared, exactly how I was feeling about you and the work that you're doing. So it's just really nice to hear it. It's resonating and it's out there in the world. So just wanted to start out by saying thank you.
Thank you. That's such an honor to receive. And people loved your podcast as well.
It's not about me.
I know, but I just want to reflect back. I got so many messages about your podcast and I'm so excited for you to create yours.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you. I received that all and it really is such an honor whenever I hear that people are spending their time listening to the podcast or receiving, I guess what's moving through me. So it truly feels such an honor.
Amazing.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So I thought I could start out just by asking you, work is obviously very intrinsically connected to your Dharma, but winding back the clock, however many years, you're sitting in a law cubicle, realizing this path isn't for you. What was it about human design that really spoke to you?
It was the first time it gave me this option that there could be something different or there could be a different way. I always felt like something was maybe wrong with me. And when I heard about being a projector specifically, even though I wanted to be at the time a generator, a manifesting generator, when I was hearing all the options and I was like, you hear the word projector and it made me feel, red flag. I was like, what am I projecting on people?
Totally.
Little did I know it meant nothing around that. I remember specifically, I was on a walk, actually at the Gold Coast. I was staying with my partner's friend at his house. And before that, there was a lot of escapism and it would be I would be working at the law firm during the week and then my weekends we would go off to the coast, go to nature. And I remember I started delving into, at first it started with just stress management and health and wellness. And somehow on a podcast that I was listening to, they introduced a human design reader and she was speaking about it. And it was just something lit up in my body. How I see it now, it's almost like your future draws you forward. I've been playing with this recently and even just on the way here, I'll have this moment where I'll almost tune into my past self and give her a little message of it's all going to be okay, we're moving forward. Because if time doesn't exist, all of that's happening now. And I used to remember that I would have these glimmers of hope. I used to have these moments of it could be another way or trust this thing or there's something here. but I didn't know actually what, but it was like a feeling. And so now, to be honest, I know this is very woo-woo and very even more woo-woo than what I usually would share, but I truly feel like it's my present self now saying those messages back. And now the ones that I feel moving me forward is my future self doing the same. It was a thing I actually learned in Vedic wisdom about revisiting your past. And so it was something that just lit up. And I remember at the time it was so out there, even just the thought of human design. I remember coming back to my partner and his friend, and I was all secretive that I just learned this thing that like my soul came alive hearing about it. And I just kept it to myself, but I just would allow myself to get curious and take little steps. I remember I sent a message to my sister being like, there's this thing called human design. Look yours up. This is what it is. Listen to this podcast. And I still remember she replied, probably won't, but okay. So yeah, it was a body sensation of resonance. And I feel like the thing about human design, it meets you where you're at, especially at the start of your journey. Human design is very tangible, practical, speaks in, let's say, lay terms. The way that I like to share human design now is with a bigger perspective, with the Vedic, with Kabbalah, with more ancient wisdoms to elevate it. But at its core, it's like a very clear, somewhat simple framework and indication of trust your body. What is your body communicating to you? What is your intuition guiding you? And it just gave me an option that I'd never had heard that option before ever. I'd never been around anywhere speaking about your intuition or even this idea that you have a purpose. That was not in my realm. And so just that opening, it was like a soul, oh, that feels true. I haven't had the language yet, but that's given me language now.
The power of a podcast.
The power of a podcast. Honestly, that was a big reason why I even started mine, because podcasts have changed my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Completely agree. And it's just interesting what you're saying because, the Vedic wisdom teaches us that time is a man-made construct and it is actually non-linear. And when we do look at jumping timelines and future self talking to even inner childhood wounds, it's all available to us. And it's all about recalibrating our energy where we are now to suit our highest purpose or to align to our higher purpose. And it does look like you've created a really beautiful life for yourself and are working across multiple modalities and in different formats. And I'm just curious how it all began for you. So where did you go from the law firm to where you are now? What does that timeline look like?
So when I left law, within a month, I moved overseas. So I moved to Berlin. And that time it was just moments, like within seconds of courage where I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. Just do it. Even if I didn't feel fully ready, there was definitely a period of, I would say, at least a year of thinking about it, learning, listening to podcasts, and doing a lot of inner child work. A lot of, at the time, it was subconscious work, inner child and shadow work. And it was like my little dirty secret. It was what I would do secretly. And so I moved to Berlin and I was working in a skincare company with my sister. And at the time, that was such a big manifestation because working in human design, or what I do now, was too far. That was too out there, too impossible to my mind. Yeah. But it was definitely a beautiful stepping stone working in the skincare because it was a startup. It was just me and my stepsister. And I learned so much about being in business. Like we both had no idea, even though I had done a business degree at uni, that you don't need to be in business. You do not need to get a business degree. It doesn't help. It was all Google and working it out as you go.
Fake it till you make it.
100%. I was in Germany, in a different country. I wasn't even speaking their language. Wow. And we worked it out, and she's still doing that in Germany. She's still growing that. But it got to a point after 2 years where I felt like, okay, now I'm feeling called to step into what actually feels, as you said, like your dharma. I feel like you can't ignore it. It almost, sometimes people can say that it's almost brave. To me, it was like I couldn't escape it. I tried to escape it. I tried to push it down. And I just felt more and more numb. I just felt like life became so hard that it was continually pushing me into that direction. And I was doing a lot of travel at the time. And then after 2 years. It's been very synchronistic in when I have moved as well. It's almost like it had opened up a different chapter or a different version of myself, maybe my undefined identity thing. It's just what I'm thinking about now. So I moved to Spain. And when I was in Spain, I started my business. I was still working part-time in the skincare.
Okay.
And then I really went for it. And I remember being so scared. I remember I was in this little town in Spain. It was during all the COVID time lockdown. And so you couldn't really do anything. And I was in this tiny retirement village town. And I was just obsessed with all of what I was doing. Then I moved to Mexico. And that's when I feel like things actually started taking shape because people were so open there. And it was such a perfect place. And with all of this, it was just me following my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a perfect place for me to put on workshops and put up little posters around the town. It was in Puerto Escondido. And I was doing like 5 readings a day, charging $30 a reading, mind you.
Lucky
But
those who got in at the time.
I know. Yeah. And they look like, I look back, they were good. Like they were.
My teacher used to say the best teachers are the ones who have just studied because they're so fresh. The knowledge is so fresh. They're so passionate. There's so much to give.
Oh, I get goosebumps. I couldn't agree more. The people that have smaller followings, the people that are just starting out, they have so much to give, care so much. Yes. And it's just, a full channeling.
It's pure passion at that point.
100%.
You're not even doing it for the money.
Not at all.
There's no other intentions other than I can't stop myself from sharing this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was definitely mine. I definitely feel like that's still me now. Like the passion is still very strong. I don't think I've gotten to the point where.
We can feel that.
Thank
you.
We
can feel that.
Thank you. But at that time, I was just going for it. But it was just not in a way of feeling like out of urgency or anything. It was just pure passion.
Yeah.
Pure passion.
And what sort of tools outside of the obvious building a website and your software and that sort of stuff, what sort of tools, inner tools were you using? Because I heard you say once that you've never used affirmations and things like that. Was it just a knowing or did you have a manifestation practice?
Yeah, I had a manifestation practice. Yeah. I really had a big dark night of the soul in Berlin. Actually, I recently had this reflected. I recently had a session with an energy healer just a couple of days ago. And she said to me, she was like, what I feel from you straight away is that your relationship to yourself and your relationship to the divine is by far the most important thing for you. Nothing will ever be more important than that. And when I was in Berlin and when I was in Spain and all these places, that relationship, anything that would strengthen that relationship, I was prioritizing. Even if it meant I had the extremely tough conversation with my dad, it was for my healing, I was doing it. If anything was for my healing, if anything was about strengthening what I was reading about and I wanted to felt the experience of it, even if it was so scary, I was like, I have to do it. It was almost this, I can't not. And when I look back as well, sometimes I'm like, I probably was a little bit very strict in that. I remember being, well, if I'm going to start a new life, I have to move overseas and I have to break up with my boyfriend and I have to like fully burn everything down. And I probably didn't need to break up with my boyfriend. We're now together, but at the same time, it was exactly what was needed to happen. Yeah. But it was definitely, I think, support from other like-minded people was another thing. I had 2 friends at the time that we were just constantly voice noting. We were all moving through very similar terrain. And I think having that form of support where you don't feel like you're crazy because you actually question your sanity.
Yeah.
And then nature. I would always, every single day in Mexico, I would go to the beach in the morning and in the afternoon. And that felt very strengthening. But I was doing all the things. If there was something that was going to help me in the healing or the self-development journey, I was doing it.
And was it your intention? Were you consciously on this big healing journey or was it all just sort of happening? Did you leave your partner because you just felt like things weren't aligned and did you start exploring this and that or you like, right, I'm going deep into the depths of healing and I'm going to liberate myself?
No, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
No idea. Absolutely no idea. And also I can't explain how fearful and like self-rule I was to myself, how insecure I was. Even my sister, we were talking about times, even in our 20s, how insecure. I remember I didn't even date or anything till I was 25 because I just was like, no one would ever want to be with me. But I remember even, and this is so niche and vulnerable to say, but I wouldn't go on a date in the daylight or in anywhere with bright lighting. I would have to choose a place where it was really dark lighting. And I would go and rehearse everything that I was going to be able to say and just like no sense of self. And I just remember it's all I can explain it was like just a glimmer of hope that there was another way. I didn't do it all because I wanted to start a business.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a thought. Absolutely wasn't a thought.
I think it's such a sad reflection of the society that we live in. Your story is definitely not unique.
No.
And I work one on one with women and have experienced myself that same feeling of inadequacy. And from the day we're born, we're really told, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. It's through all of the media, all of the screens, all of the photos, all of the magazines, like all of the impressions that are around us on the back of the billboards and buses and
Mm,
all of that, all of these images of these women that don't exist. And it's there to sell us products to make
mm,
us one step closer to that illusion that really damages us so badly. And we spend at least 10 years, if not our whole life, trying to recover from that.
yeah.
And it's just really heartbreaking.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a real testament that you have been able to pull yourself out of that. And it's really inspiring, I'm sure, for other women, especially younger women, to hear that it's not you.
Yeah. And how I see it as well is that part of the human experience is to almost believe that you are this imperfect or let's say lesser than vessel. And the whole journey here is to come back to who you truly are, that divine nature, that true life force, the energy behind it. Because to be honest, I grew up like my parents were very loving and they definitely have their things that were passed down as well. But I really truly believe that we all have some form of experience of inadequacy, regardless of whether it comes from your parents or not or society, just to come back to the sacredness of who we truly are. Because really, no one is immune. Even if you were in a protected place where you're constantly even praised for your achievements or praised for your adequacy, that even then creates just as much of the same conditioning of
Yeah.
that's who I am then, my
It's,
achievements and my adequacy. It's almost like we all go through some process to come back to none of that even matters. And I'm divine life force.
I love the way you always bring a spiritual and deeper meaning to everything. There I am, just like superficial capitalist.
No, no.
I grew up in pretty superficial mainstream Sydney.
Yeah.
And it was private girls' schools
Same.
and yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of money and a lot
Yeah.
of material wealth. And I put a lot of it down to that. But I think you are absolutely right. It's two sides of the same coin. And it's all about our coming of age, the rite of passage, forging our own path and finding out who we are through struggle and through limiting beliefs and overcoming that. And
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Literally the whole point.
It's up to us as individuals to get ourselves there, and no amount of money or anything like that can just buy that ticket there. It's about the inner work and it's about, people like you teaching women and inspiring women and us taking it and running with it and really investing our time in it.
That's important as well, investing your time in it. I think sometimes I see it as a devotional practice. Sometimes when people will ask me about, growing your business or as you said, like it takes a lot of hours and even just all that, how I just really quickly explained all those transitions in my life, that's years. There's years of each place of that. And there's so much that went into all of that. And I know moving forward, it's going to be the same. That's what life's about. It's growing something. It's growing who you are and evolving who you are. It's not an overnight fix. I think sometimes if it doesn't happen overnight, people feel like there's something wrong or they're doing something wrong or that, again, they're not enough or they're inadequate in some way. And how I see it, your business or your life or your relationships will bring up things within you that are just inviting you to somehow become more free. And that will never end in the most empowering, beautiful way. This was another thing I was thinking about this morning. If it ends, your evolution or your purpose will die.
That's death.
That's death. That's death. And we've just had my mum's family friend. She's just passed away at 38 years old. She had a car accident down in Byron. And so devastating. And also just the full acceptance of, okay, well, her time must have been complete. And I was thinking about this in terms of like people so rushing to get to their final purpose, as though it's like, when I get to my final purpose, I'll be satisfied. If you get to your final purpose, again, you'll die. Like if you get to the end, that means your life's complete. You no longer need to be here and you will reincarnate in your next iteration. So there's no rush, like all of it's good. And I'm really into listening to Wayne Dyer at the moment. And he definitely, I felt, left too young. But at the same time, the work he put out and what he did, just so incredible. I love listening to him. And yeah, like when people's time are complete, there's no rush. Like the only thing we're rushing is to our last day then.
Yeah. So I'm hearing trust the process.
Yes, always.
Trust the process,
Yeah,
people.
and enjoy. And you can be grateful now and enjoy now and seeing what is shifting. Like it's honestly a miracle. A change in perspective is a miracle. Like in a moment where you can be so deep in fear or so deep in anger or so deep in lack, and yes, feel it and process it, but coming back to light and truth. If you do that on a day where you just become aware of a pattern, to me, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not whether you got 20 clients that day. That's part of it. Yeah. But no, that's not it.
It's our job to actively choose where our energy and our mindset is.
Yeah.
We get to wake up every single day and we have so much to be grateful for right in front of us, but we can choose to look at all the things we don't like about our life. We can choose to look at the partner who's not doing what you want them to do, to the job that's not fulfilling us in that way, and to the clothes that we don't want to wear and the car that we don't want to drive to work. We can choose to look at all of that, or we can actively just choose without even lifting a finger, actively just choose to look at all the things that we do have.
Yeah.
And there's so much there. And if you ever need a reminder, I always say just go camping, which
Just
I
be in
love
nature.
going camping, but I'm saying like just to be able to wash your dishes. I always have this like when you're camping, like, okay, we've got to make it all work. And and you get home and like that hot shower and just washing your dishes or putting them in the dishwasher. It reminds you of all the little things that are there that just become part of the fabric of life that we just so quickly overlook, especially in our very privileged society. So there's so much there to be grateful for. And I think it's really up to us as individuals to decide if we're depressed, if we're unhappy, how can we completely flip this around without doing anything external? It's all happening. Like we can be our best friends or our worst nightmares.
Yeah.
And it sets the tone for our life.
Absolutely. I've been thinking about lately as well as like expectations of how life should look, and how if we have any different expectations of what is now, you're always going to be dissatisfied. And yes, absolutely have things you're moving towards or things that you're working towards. But if you have this like expectation that things should be different, you're always just creating more suffering.
Okay.
And you mentioned about camping as well. For me, it's like space, nature, and presence.
Yeah.
And I even had someone share recently with me about how they're like really looking for clarity and really wanting to find their answers and all the things. And I just could feel, do you have any space in your day? Any? She says, no, I'm too busy. And I'm like, well, don't complain about don't having clarity then.
Yeah.
If our world leaders, if some of them can meditate, even the busiest people are doing it, and you don't do it just to be still and silent, you do it because of what it gives you. For example, with meditation, you don't meditate to be good at meditation, you meditate to be better at life.
Yeah.
And yeah, like these things of, as you said, like that daily practice of being in that energy and then moving through life from that place, because it'll just affect the lens that you see your life and you see your day to day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of daily practices, you travel a lot, you work in different cities. What do your daily practices look like?
Like I'm so non-negotiable. Not non-negotiable, it sounds the wrong way. They're very flexible, but even how I was just speaking about how my relationship to self and the divine is my most important. So in the morning, first thing always meditation, 20 minutes, even if I don't want to, always do, because my day is totally different if I don't. And a nature walk, always, every morning. They're the only two things, sun and nature. I need to do that every morning. And then wrap up at the end of the day, the same thing. If I don't get my afternoon walk, it's something that just gives me life. It truly gives me life, a nature walk.
Oh, it's very natural and normal for that to happen. It's like communing with the divine.
Yeah.
Recalibrating the nervous system, connecting with what's real. It's also really important for our hormones to experience different times of sunlight so that we can start to produce melatonin in the evening. If we're seeing sunrise and sunset, our eye has this bookend of the day. So we start producing our melatonin, we can sleep better.
Yeah.
It sets the path and the course for the whole next day. Yeah. So it's very naturalistic and makes perfect sense. That's very healing and cathartic for you. And
I'll do one in the middle of the day as well. Honestly, if I'm feeling any sort of way, I will pop out for a walk.
She's out there.
I'm out there. Sometimes Nick, my partner, he will just be like, how long of a walk are we talking? So if it's a weekend, I can be gone for 2 hours easy.
Yeah.
And it's a stroll. It's not a brisk walk.
Nice.
It's a stroll. Sometimes it might be, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a stroll. A lot of the time it's listening to nothing
Yep.
or it's listening to inspirational at the moment.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think it's really important for us to carve out the time for nothing.
Yeah.
I think we're all trying to pack in so much in our day, and it's okay, I'm going to do my walk, I'm going to get my 10,000 steps, I'm going to listen to the podcast, listen to the book. And it's really important for us just to have silence and to be able to be with silence.
Yeah. And what are the things that actually bring you joy?
Yeah.
Like not forcing the practices that don't.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be uncomfortable if you're not used to being with yourself. So there's a difference between being uncomfortable or just like it not resonating, it not being the tool that best supports you.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big journaler, to be honest. Really not. I really kind of like get it out and I go to do it and I'm like 2 sentences in, unless I'm in a big process and I need to like purge something. But even then I'll like speak it out loud or I'll cry it out.
I'm happy to hear you say that because I'm not either. I've got so many journals with one page written in them. And I'm like, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. And it just doesn't really take off. I got really into the artist way and did the morning pages for a while, years ago. I think writing my book put me off writing a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a projector thing, but when I overdo something, I'm burnt out and I'm like, I can't do any more of that. Like I need a lot of variety and diversity. And
it could be an arrows thing. We'll look at your arrows and maybe a heart thing that like, if your heart's not into something or if you're forcing things, I just feel we have a life force for a reason. And if we use it, even if it's for the quote unquote good things in ways that doesn't feel supportive or you're doing it because you have to, I just feel like it defeats the whole purpose.
One of my teachers said something so profound and so simple that I think of almost daily. And he said, this is Dr. Robert Svoboda. He's an Ayurvedic doctor. He was the first white man to study Ayurveda in India, like back in the 70s, I believe.
Cool.
He's written many books, but he said one day, you've just got to follow your prana. So your prana is life force energy, and we all have our own prana going on. So if there's prana for journaling, journal. If there's prana for walking, walk.
Absolutely.
If there's prana for starting your own business, start your own business. If there's not, you're forcing something. And when you've got that forceful energy, it's never going to resonate with people.
Yeah.
Like clinging and attachment creates aversion. It's just, you just got to follow your prana.
Literally follow your prana.
Isn't
Like
it the best?
that's it. And
Goosebumps.
it's your prana, your life force, your bliss is another way that people will say it. And that's what your soul wants to do. That's what your body wants to do. And it's just we create stories or our mind just interferes. Yeah. Like your body, your life force wants to flow. Your prana wants to flow. And that's what draws people in. That's what expands. That's what you gain more energy from. Yeah. Follow your prana. I love that.
It.
Yeah.
So we dipped into a few little human design terms then. And I just am curious how many people are at home who come to find your podcast in recent times who may not have had the full intro to human design. So I thought maybe you could take a moment just to wind back the clock and just kind of in your own words, what is human design?
Human design is your access to your divinity. So it is the framework and energetic blueprint that helps you realize and connect with that prana, connect with that life force. So Ra created it, I believe, at a time where we needed these reminders and almost this fancy chart or this very in-depth chart to show us you are divine being with so many gifts, with a mission here, and you can trust where you feel called and to create awareness of your conditioning. So if you had asked me that question maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said, it will show you whether you're a projector or a generator, and it'll tell you all your gifts and your strengths so you can leverage in this lifetime. Yes, absolutely. But I think it goes so much further than that now that that's the teachings have fully integrated and embodied within me now. I no longer think about being a projector. Yeah. But at the same time, what I think it is the perfect stepping stone to realize, and this is the whole experiment, which is what Ra would call, Ra was the creator of human design. What Ra would say was, you're in an experiment, try out living your human design, which is this, as I said, energetic frequency or blueprint. When you have awareness of that, you can start living by that. Live your experiment and just see. And so I really didn't understand what I thought the experiment was until I lived it. And he said it was about a 7-year thing. I don't think it has to be that long, but it also can be longer, where I think the whole point was, oh, you actually just realize you're divine and you realize you're prana, you realize that you're purposeful. But for so many of us, we're conditioned, or everyone is, there's some form of conditioning, some form of logic over intuition. And I think it is a framework that creates safety of your way of doing things, safety of what's possible, and permission. I think all of us just want to be told, like, you're allowed.
Yeah.
You're allowed to trust that thing. You're allowed to not do that thing. You're allowed to say no. And human design just gives you that allowance. And what I have seen is that everyone is so different. How I see it in the Vedics, that's what I love when I've kind of joined together. There's some things that don't fully correlate, but bringing it together, I feel like it can still amplify both. But a lot of ancient wisdoms will be like, we are all this one infinite universal source. And then we have these reflections or prisms or flavors of that energy. And human design tells you your flavor and how to make that happen. But a big part of human design is connection to your truth and how to connect to that. It gives you this very practical and logical way of following prana. It's literally, human design is following prana.
Thank you, Dr. Robert.
Yeah, literally, that's it. But sometimes we don't feel safe to follow prana.
Yeah.
So you have to start with human design, feel that safety, and then also understand what my role is here. But I have the belief that you focus on your role and then you realize you're all the roles and you realize that you are everything.
And how do you use human design in your day-to-day life and in your business?
Oh, everything. It's so integrated that it's my language now. So I would never give anyone advice without looking at their human design, unless it's a universal truth. I think everyone's so unique with that. So within my sessions, always, obviously, I'm looking at their chart. I'm never just talking them through the chart as a more standard reading, anything like that. But if I'm having a session with someone, I'm looking at their chart. When I hear someone speak, I can see that was your undefined heart, not self voice, and then have the understanding of, like, how can we get you back to your light and your truth? Oh, I can feel your undefined root urgency. Okay, like, coming back to that. I can feel my undefined urgency right now. I'm running on fight or flight and there's no tiger chasing me. That's my undefined root. Oh, I just noticed my undefined spleen right now taking on someone's fears in this moment and anxieties. I was fine 2 minutes ago and now I'm really feeling that. Or like understanding that even me as feeling called to share certain things and always being very curious and wanting to share what I'm learning, being like, okay, well, I'm a one line. Of course, that's what I want to do. I think it's just this reconfirmation in a language that sometimes we might not be able to articulate. We may be feeling. And I just think it's the most amazing awareness tool.
Cool.
Yeah.
And if you hit a roadblock, I think a lot of people think you figured it all out and you've cracked the code and you're perfect and all these sorts of things. But I know we're all still human.
Yeah.
So if you do come up against a roadblock in your own life and your business, what tools do you use to move through that?
It's the awareness with my human design of where am I in my not self? Where am I in that energy of lack, fear, doubt, which is so normal. So I witness and see that I'm moving through something and knowing, speaking of gratitude, truly feeling a sense of gratitude that this has come up for me, because I see it all the time. Actually, it just recently happened, like a soon to be client, she is now a client. I felt she asked these questions and I felt like an energy of lack, or like almost needing to convince her, being like, don't you realize this is going to change your life? And I felt that energy coming up and I was like, I'm not replying to her in this energy. I just stopped and didn't reply to her. And I didn't reply for 24 hours because I could still feel that energy every time I went to connect with her. And so I always pause, notice when I'm not in truth, I'm not in love, not in light, not in life force, which happens daily. Like sometimes it's the whole day.
A lot of walking that day.
A lot of walking that day, trust me. A lot of walking. And yeah, so then I will pause. What a gift, what an opportunity you are being given to shift a timeline. Now, what I have loved about this framework is that it almost gives you this sense of motivation and purpose and meaning for when you are challenged, for when you do have those moments of doubt or insecurity or it's not possible. And to see that you are being invited into a bigger expression of yourself. And so I'll say, pause, what is this showing me? Where am I being invited to transform something in this moment? Because nothing is random, nothing's by accident. And so I see that even when I have a feeling. I think a lot of people, maybe, and myself in the past, would wait until an external thing would happen that would invite that level of inquiry. I'll even feel it of just a feeling shows up. And a lot of the time, yeah, you have to also feel the feeling. And then I'll shift the energy behind it and the behavior behind it of saying, what would my higher self or truest self be proud of in this moment? And then move forward from that direction. And that's these little mini miracles. So the framework is pause, what a pleasure. I'm being given an opportunity. Why is this in my narrative? What am I being shown here? Notice the voice of doubt. Notice and like witness. That's what meditation has really helped because it helped me witness the thoughts. Then I incorporate a bit of IFS in here where I'll connect, and this can happen in seconds.
Yeah.
Connect with the part. Oh, I see the part of me that feels really scared that this woman isn't going to come on the retreat. And for some reason, I feel attached right now. And I'm feeling there's some form of rejection happening, or that I need to show her that this is worthy. Beautiful. And I just like envision that I stream so much love to it. I'm like, bam. Like all I can think of, those Power Rangers. I used to love Power Rangers as a kid. I envisioned so much love, so much love, so much love. And then choose different after that. Because you've shifted the frequency from love and understanding. It's not to shame yourself when you doubt or you feel lack or you feel fear. I'm like, beautiful. I can feel the fear of me investing in this thing right now, even though I know deep down it's for me, or I'm feeling some sense of judgment. And that coming from love, yeah, then you move forward. So I see it as, again, similar to when I didn't even realize it when I was doing it. I've always felt inspired and motivated by that. I've always felt motivated by becoming somewhat free in that. And then your manifestations or what you're calling in naturally come in. For example, that client that I just said that I didn't reply to, I didn't even end up needing to reply. She came back being like, actually, don't worry about it. I'm coming, like blah, 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 because I had moved through it. So I think sometimes people focus so much on how do I create the thing rather than their own spiritual work or their own, I just see it as your own freedom or your own shifting. And then everything comes from that place.
Beautiful. And how do you tell the difference between your intuition, your soul's calling, or limiting beliefs? So I'll give you a bit of context.
Yeah.
Last year, I had a really interesting experience where my business took a really weird turn out of nowhere. It was like the same programs I'd launched the year before and the same things I'd done with great success in times past, all of a sudden were not resonating.
Yeah.
I'd spent all this time, I'd improved all the systems, everything was automated. I was like, this is going to be amazing. And it was such a flop. And I really took it at the time as, is this my soul? Is this some higher power, the universe, maybe asking me to reflect on whether I do want to pursue Ayurveda? Like if my time is up, if it's time for a new calling, a new path. Since then, I have reflected on that period, and I did feel a big energetic shift in I was working too hard and I was pretty burnt out and I was just a bit over it. And as I'm sure you've experienced with small business, I hadn't had a break. Like I had not had, I mean, you're really good at this, but I hadn't had a break in so many years. I hadn't had a holiday. And I think I was just a bit burnt out. But at the time, and still now, I do wonder, how do we define whether it's our own energy, whether it's intuitive, whether it is a sign from the universe? Do you believe the universe guides us in that way, or is it energetic? I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah. I think because I've had the similar experiences where I could look back and see where did I do something out of any form of lack or ego, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Literally doesn't work. I can think of one retreat I launched and I just did it out of ego. It was like, I should do this. They're keeping on going. It looks great, all the things. And it ended up selling, but it was a hard slog. I learned the lesson in it. So how I see it is it needs to come through as divine inspiration and divine intelligence. So that was the perfect experience that you've had in order to remind you that you need to have your space and your break. I see it's so important in this line of work that we need to have. Actually, in the same energy healer that I recently saw, she said that you always go away and you come back and it's a new rebirth. And I was like, yes, that's part of my job.
Yeah.
Part of my job is the space.
Yeah.
The part of my job is to go out, get inspiration. The part of my job is, again, my relationship to myself. So if that was the lesson you got from it, that was the perfect experience. And this is again what I really learned from the Kabbalah was that certainty is not about everything working out how you want. Certainty is that all that unfolds is for your highest good in your highest evolution. And so whatever lesson you got from that, if it needed to be, and sometimes we need an expensive lesson or we need a ego hitting lesson of should I even be doing this work? And you having that reflection piece, and this is why I'm going into this specifically, because there's no one size fits rule when it comes to the lesson that you're going to be learned. When people ask me, like, what does this mean? I'll reflect like, well, what do you think it means? Your intuition will tell you. And it's always the first thing you think of. It's always the thing you feel uncomfortable hearing. But to actually answer your questions of how do I know? So again, is the life force available? Do I feel this divine, passionate energy wanting to do this? How on the day to day, I notice when it is, let's call it divine intelligence or your intuition, mine comes as a thought. Mine, I'm less so, maybe it's a projectory thing, but it's less so me thinking of a feeling. Yes, it'll bring excitement. It'll feel almost exhilarated, scary, stretchy. That's a good sign for me if it feels stretchy. And as well, my mind will come in 2 seconds later and discount it. So that's how I know it's intuition. If I say, let's do this, and then it goes, oh, no, you can't do that. And it happens all the time. Even like I was just saying this example, actually, when you go out, speaking of walks, you go out on a beach walk and you get an intuition of grab your jumper and you go, oh, no, that's silly. It's sunny outside. Or grab your umbrella. It's no, silly, sunny outside. That. And then you go out and you realize how much you needed your jumper or your umbrella, but you only realize that because you ignored it. If I had have grabbed my jumper, I wouldn't think, thank God for my intuition. I just like, oh, I got my jumper. So definitely how I see it is, for me, it's a knowing, but it comes in the same as a thought. I definitely have strengthened my trust muscle with that. Before, it used to feel like hope. That's all the only way I could describe it. I remember actually, I was just about to move to Mexico, actually. I was going to board my flight that day and it was a big move. I really didn't have any money at the time. And I was walking down, I was going to have like my final beach swim in Spain. And there was a man that just had hope, like capital H, hope on the front of his t-shirt. And I remember I started crying when I saw it. I was just like, actually got me really emotional because I was living by signs then. I was living by like pure hope. And I actually remember I asked him to take a photo of it. I think I have it even. I think I posted on Instagram. I just started my Instagram account. And yeah, it's subtle. And then as well, I'll close my eyes. If it's a big decision, I'll close my eyes and I will feel into my body. Does this feel expansive or constrictive? And I'll also say, will I want to be waking up for that thing? So for example, in the future, and I'll even think maybe someone will ask me to do something in a few months' time, even if it sounds fun. I will envision, again, jumping into a timeline, jumping into the future. I'm opening my eyes and I have that thing to go to today. Do I want to or do I not? Yeah. Like
Amazing.
just tangible. Yeah.
Just cash.
It's, if you don't want to wake up for it today or in a week, you sure as hell won't when the time comes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's so funny you said that because this is so irrelevant, but
Please.
coming for some reason. I've been thinking about being a life model when I'm like 9 months pregnant in 3 months. It's been a weird bucket list of mine to be like a life drawing model. Just as a way of fully embracing and accepting. Just to have a room of people staring at all your imperfections. And
like, why not?
Like, walking into that. And there's some life drawing classes I've been going to and I'm like, should I put my hand up and suggest myself to be a model at 9 months pregnant? It's like a beautiful thing to have a model who's pregnant. And last night I had the dream of the day of the life drawing. And it was exactly that feeling. It was waking up the day of life drawing and going, what have I done? Why have I done this? The full panic. And I woke up this morning and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to put myself through that.
And I also, as well, the other thing that I'll do is I'll envision myself after it. How will I feel after it? And I did this recently. I went to where was I? It was a lunch or something. And it was like, how do I think I'm going to feel afterwards? And I knew I was going to be drained. I wasn't feeling excited or proud of myself that I did it.
It's absolutely true. And I think at the end of it, if I did do that, I would be really glad I did it. And I'd hopefully have a really beautiful drawing from a talented artist in the room that I could savor.
What is the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
If it's a life experience that you can do here, I'm always like, why not?
I think our greatest growth comes out of putting ourselves in uncomfortable
Uncomfortable.
situation. And that's where the growth happens. It doesn't happen in our safety net, our
No.
safe zone. It happens in those awkward,
Yeah.
sticky, uncomfortable situations. So I think, yeah, looking at how am I going to feel after it rather than
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to feel walking into
And that's
it.
that whole thing of, will I be proud of myself for doing it?
Yeah.
I remember I was in Bali just last year and I met a girl and it felt so synchronistic. She sat beside me and we started talking. She was from Hawaii and she said, "Oh, are you coming to the comedy night next door? I love to go to a comedy night and receive."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, no, is there comedy?" And she's, "Yeah, everyone goes up and does stand up." Like it was a actual comedians.
Yeah, it's like
And
an
she's
open
like,
mic.
come. And I was like, okay, it scares me, so I got to do it.
Yeah.
It was the most scariest thing I've ever
Oh
done in
my
my whole life.
God.
Getting up and doing stand up. It was torturous. I was terrible. Of course, they were so nice because they could see how much of a beginner, but I've never been more petrified. And like,
Amazing.
you're fine after. You
Yeah.
literally, all it is doing is increasing your resilience and showing yourself how safe you are in uncomfortable situations. Because
Yeah.
if you're afraid of uncomfortable situations, you're going to miss out on life. You're going to not actually experience the change you want. But I do think when it's something that you're like, okay, well, what am I actually doing it for? Am I doing it for that ego being proud?
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Totally.
If it's like a freedom proud, beautiful.
The last question I wanted to ask you, and I already know the answer, but I want to hear your answer.
Please.
Do you believe that everyone has a dharma? I know there's a lot
Yes.
of people out there, hang on a second,
Please.
that are sitting at office jobs, maybe in a law cubicle, maybe as a receptionist, maybe whatever, and they're so desperate to get out of there and they know that there's another life for them, but they really don't know what it is and they don't know where to begin. Do you believe that they have a soul's purpose and how do they access that?
Yeah. So I don't believe your soul's purpose is your job. Your soul's purpose is to become the most free, authentic, loved up, divine version of yourself and to become free of all the constrictions and all the limitations that I believe you came here with. And I have shared it on the podcast, but it's coming to me here that our dharma is to come back to that knowing of our divine nature or of our freedom or of our true loving possibility. And so we choose our parents, our circumstances in order to be able to come to that knowing, because I like to think of it, yeah, you realize what you were missing or you realize what you've got till it's gone. And so your dharma is that. Your dharma is to become free in yourself. And you might not even change your occupation. You might still be in the same role, but your whole experience within it is different. I actually had a session with a generator recently, and he was talking about how he felt like he was kind of wasting his life, basically. And he was putting it down to his job. And I said, I feel like you like your job. Do you not like your job? And he says, no, I actually really like my job. And I said, okay, well, it's about accessing more freedom within your current circumstances. And then from that, if change is needed, if change is relevant, it will happen, because it's not about moving towards or forcing the change from an external space rather than internally doing all the things that we've spoken about here of noticing when life is inviting you to become more free. And sometimes as well, we can think, well, I want more ease in my life. Let's use that as an example. And be careful what you wish for. When you declare something of I want more ease or I want more money or I want more love, universe will show you all the ways where you are not freely expressing that or receiving that. And one big one is it'll show you the ways where you're judging. I think so many people especially are afraid of judgment, and you can't feel an emotional thing unless you have it within your body. We recently did this example, and actually we can even do it now. I feel like it'd be nice. I want you to, like, even if you want to close your eyes, take a moment and feel love, even if it helps to access with your baby, like so much infinite love within your body. So much. And anyone listening, do the same. You don't have to close your eyes. You can just be wherever you are. Love and energy and expansion, possibility, just feeling that energy. If it helps, you can think of something you do love and like expanding that energy more and more, even just taking it up 10 notches up. So this is your divine nature. This is your truth. This energy is what I'm always coming back to. And now let's imagine that me right now, a separate person to you, I'm just sending you so much judgment. While you're staying in this loving energy, I want you to continue love, 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 love. And I'll just even ask you, what do you feel, even if there's judgment around you, if you have that sensation of love within you?
It's like there's a tiger kind of scratching at the claws at the gate, but it can't get in.
Yeah.
Like I can definitely keep anchored in that.
Yeah.
There's an awareness
Yes.
that it's
Always an
there,
awareness. Yeah.
but can stay with it.
Yeah. And so that of understanding that if you are feeling judged, that's because there's a judgment within you. And I used to always hear that, but I didn't really understand what that fully meant on a felt sensation. And so even recently we had someone in Create Space saying that, sorry, I'm going on so many tangents, but I really am feeling called to share this because it was really powerful for them. She was a projector and feeling like people aren't like really getting what I'm sharing. It's everyone's really surface level. No one's wanting to go deep. And in that instance, I reflected back to her that, do you realize that's your not self? That's a projector bitterness, or that's can be whatever the energy type, frustration or anger or disappointment. But that energy of any form of, like judgment, fear, lack, all of this, the energy returns to sender. And so when we are moving anywhere in life, our only job is to how can we alchemize and transform that energy within us? Because from there, you're going to receive. And that is your Dharma. Because how do you operate differently from the world when you're in that energy of love? Because that's your truth.
Yeah.
It's not naive. It's not silly. Anything, any action that comes from that place, you're going to be so much more loving to yourself. You're going to be so much more loving to everyone around you.
I was thinking about just a couple of days ago how if we stopped caring what other people think, because we don't even know if that exists or if that's real, the world would be such a better place.
Oh, absolutely. It's got nothing to do with other people. It's just what you think about you through an eyes of another.
If we think someone's judging us, we just think they're judging us. We're actually judging them for judging us.
Yeah, for being a
They haven't
judgmental
even
person.
done anything yet.
That was the biggest like humbling experience for me. The people that I thought were judging me so much ended up being actually the biggest lovers and supporters.
Yeah.
Maybe they weren't doing it on, on my social media. Then I would run into them and they would say beautiful things. And I'm like, wow, I've been basically thinking you're a judgmental person. I'm a bitch. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry for projecting onto you. Absolutely. No, we're always the problem. Thing I know is that we're always the problem. So this is a Mother Teresa poem that I just loved when I heard it. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of being selfish or having ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never about you and them anyway.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Dharma.
Yeah. That's following your Prana.
Follow your Prana. That's your Dharma. Whatever that means. And
Yeah.
sometimes, again, we get judgmental of ourselves of, is this a big enough Dharma? Or if everyone follows the Dharma, then who's going to do all the roles? Like all of this just stories that are just fueling more and more conditioning.
And looking at someone else's Dharma and thinking that that should be yours.
And I saw this so much even, and this is why I created Create Space. It was like people would learn human design, then become a human design reader. Or they'd learn Ayurveda, become an Ayurvedic practitioner. And I really, truly believe that this newer paradigm, we can't be defined by one role.
Yeah.
Like you can't be defined by one life purpose. And it's a distraction thinking you have to find one purpose. It's not. Your purpose is you in any expression, in your prana, in your life force, in your divinity, in your kindness, in your love, and also in the transformation of when you bring darkness to light. We even think that there's this idea between good or bad energy, and there's no such thing. There's only high or low frequency energy, or fast or slow.
Yeah.
And fast and high will always up level and bring up the low and the slow.
Yeah.
And so we are energetic beings. If you move through life from that, I don't like saying high frequency, but like prana energy, which is high frequency energy, which is life force, which is your desire, which is your authenticity. When you just move through the world from that place, that's it. That's your purpose. And I remember speaking recently to a manifester. Her biggest takeaway from everything was like, oh, I can just be. And
Permission.
oh God, like I can just be. And she's also fighting cancer and succeeding. She's never felt more healthy and vital in her life. I just saw it a few days ago. And I was like, do you realize just your presence here is she's coming on the Bali retreat. And she's, is there any way I can help you? I was like, no, your presence there is just going to uplift us all there.
Beautiful.
That's purpose. That's dharma.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing, if you're bringing your prana, your passion, your life force, people just want to connect with life force. So much of the collective is missing that because it's been drained out of us based on, again, what people think, what our conditioned views, forcing things that are not for us. And so when you can be that person that even if it doesn't make sense to other people, even if it doesn't make sense to you, when you bring that energy, that's how you naturally will draw in the things for you. And also you'll feel most fulfilled because it's just you being in your true self energy.
Yeah. I love the way that your teachings, they're not this like formulaic, you've got to get up journaling, you've got to have the lemon water, you've got to you have your affirmations,
Gives
you've
me
got
the
to have your
heebie-jeebies.
vision board, you've got to be making mind movies. It's all this external work and it's not the internal.
Yeah.
And I love the way your teachings really bring us home to what really matters and make it feel really practical and really personal. So
it's so energetic.
yeah.
And I didn't really understand what that meant at first. So I'm mindful even just saying that. But when you see how life works and when you realize that every single thing that's put in your path or every single thing that shows up in your life is for some form of evolutionary journey. And this also helps me with full acceptance. For example, if something happens and another person gets a lesson from my actions, that's another big thing. Is a lot of people can be afraid of, am I too much or am I too emotional? It's such a beautiful part of self-acceptance of love, of being like, well, that's the process that they need to go through by being triggered by me right now. I know that I'm coming from love and truth. I'm not trying to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Right now they're having experience and like full acceptance of that, especially if you're also like me and being known to want to fix and wanting to save. That's what they got to move through.
Yeah.
And that really was a journey for me with breathwork, of holding breathwork sessions, of seeing people move through such big journeys and like celebrating for that.
Yeah.
Amazing. You just moved through such a big thing or you're in such a big thing. Even how you were just saying when you had that experience with your offer not going ahead, being like who I'm becoming in this, that gives me more fire in my belly when things like that happen.
It's like what you were saying before. It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
It was an opportunity for me to reflect and take stock of how I was doing business, if it was serving me, if I was just on autopilot.
Yeah.
It was an invitation to review and to make me look at the ways that I can serve that really actually light me up. And I've since totally recalibrated my energy.
Good.
And have had, everything's back on track.
Yeah. And
it was like I needed that.
Oh, we always do.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing, even just with the recent certification I moved through. There was so much fear and resistance of, can I introduce all these different topics? I speak so much and teach so much around, all the things that we've spoken about with the Kabbalah, with Vedic, with IFS, with somatics, but it's a human design course. And so I had to give myself the option to totally shift and change the certification. And now I'm like, okay, it makes sense to me now why I felt that, because I believe in what I get the reflections back is that it's so much better now. But if I had kept it in the same way of running it how I had run it, even though, again, people may have liked that, but you got to trust.
Yeah.
Trust when things change within you.
Keep evolving with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I could talk to you for hours.
Thank you
so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for like just receiving and sharing the podcast. It means so much.
I'm a genuine listener. So they're all questions that I genuinely had. So it was really easy.
Yeah. No, and I feel like especially to be seen by a projector is always the best. So thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone.